Hello, Empowered Woman. Welcome to this episode of the Empowered Woman podcast. And this episode is a first. I've been hinting at this for a while, and here it is. We're making history, friends. This is the very first episode on the Empowered Woman podcast where I interview a man. I talk so much about women empowerment having nothing to do with antagonizing men. I figured it was time to prove so because there are so many amazing men out there empowering women, and today's guest is one of them. I got to interview Brad Yates. He is known internationally for his creative and even humorous use of tapping EFT, emotional freedom techniques. Brad is the author of the best-selling children's book, The Wizard's Wish. He's the co-author of the bestseller Freedom at Your Fingertips and a featured expert in the film The Tapping Solution. He's also been a presenter at a number of events, including Jack Canfield's Breakthrough to Success, and has done teleseminars with The Secret Star's Bob Doyle and Dr. Joe Vitale. He is incredible, but even more than all of these accomplishments that he has to his name, what is really remarkable is the way that he carries himself with such kindness and humility. So you're in for a treat today. Not only do we talk a ton about self-love, Brad also guides us through a tapping session on self-love. It's brilliant. Let's dig in, shall we? Welcome back to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on personal development for women entrepreneurs. If you're wanting to stop spinning your wheels, trying random personal development resources, and actually boost your confidence to show up fearlessly in your life and business, this is the place for you. I am so glad that you're here. My name is martaspirk, and I'm your host, triplet mom, woman empowerment coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode. Hi, Brad. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, my pleasure, Marta. Thanks for having me on.
Yes. So I will have Brad introduce himself in a minute, but we connected because I found out that I was in the same, speaking in the same summit that he was. And I contacted the organizer. I was like, how in the world did you get Brad to be on your summit? I've been following his videos on YouTube for a couple of years now. He's a superstar. I was like starstruck, and even feeling very good about myself to be in the same panel as he was. And she said, you have no idea how down to earth Brad is. And sure enough, connected on Instagram, scheduled this super easily. And it really goes to show that everything that you portray in your videos is so genuine because you exude such peace. I am just so grateful that you're here today. So for those of you who don't know this amazing human that is Brad Yates, can you share with us in a nutshell, who you are and what you do?
I'm just a guy who taps on his face for a living. You know, it's like, to me, it's hard not to be humble when this is what you do. And I'm very blessed to get to do it. You know, I started out as an actor many years ago and had toured the world doing theater, came back to Hollywood to be a movie star, and in the process met a woman, fell in love, got married. And when our first child was on the way, I thought, you know, I should probably have a backup career. So rather than getting a really steady paycheck kind of job, I trained to become a hypnotherapist because I'd always been fascinated with the power of the mind. And I started doing that. And after a couple more years, when our second child was on the way, I thought, as much as I love acting, personal development work really feels like my calling. This is what really feels more fulfilling for me. And we left Los Angeles, moved to Northern California, and through some other hypnotherapists, I found out about EFT and just fell in love with this process and started introducing it into my hypnotherapy sessions until little by little they became tapping sessions with a little bit of hypnosis at the end. And then YouTube came along. And I thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if there was a tapping video that people could start their day with? And I'll call it Tap of the Morning. And it was all I ever intended was that one video. It's like, okay, that's up there. And about 6 months later, I thought, you know, I should have a video to end the day, and I'll call it Tap of the Evening. And then I'm done. And then another idea came along, and then another, and now there's almost 1,000 videos up there.
That's incredible. So how long have you had the channel for?
Since 2007, so a little over a decade.
Wow, that's incredible. And I resonate a lot with your story of switching careers and just falling in love with personal development, because this is where I have found myself
after having kids as well.
Yeah.
I had triplets 4 years ago.
Wow.
So that
Well
was
done.
a big, a big whirlwind, and put me on this path. And sometimes I feel like, what am I doing? You know, I'm crazy to be, because I used to work with languages. I'm an interpreter still. And so not really the path. I mean, somewhat connected with encouraging people to learn. But it really, I have found really in my passion to encourage and motivate people. And so I resonate with that, and I love it so much. I would love to know, to have you explain a little bit more what tapping is, and why is it so helpful?
Yeah. So tapping, based on another technique called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, which is based on thought field therapy, which was developed by Dr. Roger Callahan, is originally based on acupuncture.
Mm.
So for thousands of years in Chinese medicine, they've said there's a flow of energy through the body along pathways called meridians. And when this energy is flowing naturally, we experience our natural state of health and well-being, physically and emotionally. And when this energy gets stuck or unbalanced, we don't feel so good. So in traditional acupuncture, the doctor would stick needles in these key points along the body to stimulate that healthy flow of energy. And we're just using our fingertips to literally tap and clear out those blockages. And we have modern research showing that it's a very effective method of stress relief. So we have cortisol studies showing that, so cortisol is one of the stress hormones.
Yeah.
There's a study done, a couple of studies have been done now showing that cortisol levels dramatically reduce when we're doing the tapping. There are fMRI studies showing brain activity and how that normalizes after tapping. So it might look a little strange if you haven't done it before. And the first time you see it, it's like, what? You're tapping on your face? But we do have scientific validation of the effectiveness of this technique. So it's just a profound stress relief technique. And when you look at the fact that most, if not all of the issues that we face are either caused by or worsened by stress, then you can see how tapping can be so beneficial in so many different things. And for me, and the way that I do the work, I've started calling it the reconsideration process because it's our thoughts and beliefs that lead to our actions, that lead to our results. And we have a lot of thoughts that are not beneficial. They've been stuck in there. A lot of our beliefs are not based on fact. They're just persistent thoughts that stop us from taking the actions that lead to the kind of life that we want. But when we try to change our mind, when we have a challenging thought, part of us starts to shut down and has a stress response and says, hey, leave me alone. So when we're doing the tapping, we're calming down that stress response, and it gives us that freedom to reconsider our beliefs and take on more empowering beliefs that then lead to better actions and much better results.
Oh, that's incredible. And I just listening to you talk is just so peaceful. I just had a question in my mind. Have you always been such a calm person like this? And I'm assuming tapping and all the things that you have learned along the way have helped, but just curious.
Yeah, a couple of decades of tapping certainly can mellow a person. I like to think I've always been a relatively mellow person. I certainly was. I have people who tell me that I was much more uptight in my earlier years. So I've become much more zen through this this process of daily tapping.
And if anything, if that's what we're going to get out of tapping, I think everyone should be engaging in tapping, right? Especially with all the things that we have going on right now.
Why I wear the band that says "Cultivate Peace."
And you sure do, with yourself and with the work that you do. I love it so much. One of the things that I wanted to focus on today and ask you, because we could talk about a million things, obviously, and just keep talking for hours, is as I mentioned before we started recording, when I first came across your first video that I saw somebody shared in an entrepreneurial group, and it was a video about money, abundance, clearing money blocks and things like that. And it was the first video that I watched. I had learned or heard about tapping before, but I had never actually seen a video or done anything. I just knew the concept. And when you first started, and how you will always start the practices, saying, I choose to deeply and completely love and accept myself, that struck such a chord with me. because of the work that I have been doing. But even back then, when I wasn't with this focus so much on self-love that I have right now and empowering women, it was just so interesting to me to see that if you're talking about clearing blocks on receiving money, receiving clients, or getting rid of anxiety, it has to start with you accepting and loving yourself deeply and completely. And I don't think most of us realize that. And I wanted to get your perspective on why is it so hard for us to love and accept ourselves? Because if we did, then anxiety wouldn't be so much of an issue. Getting more clients and more money wouldn't be so much of an issue. And then after you respond to that, why is loving and accepting ourselves so important in order for us to reach our next level of success, happiness, everything?
Yeah, I think it was Lucille Ball who said, learn to love yourself first. Everything else falls in place after that.
Yeah.
And it's the original version of EFT that had this as the opening statement of, even though I have this issue, this stress, this headache, whatever it might be, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And it is this process of self-acceptance that I have the issue, because when we're fighting against the issue, then we are closed off to allowing ourselves to process it.
Yeah.
So this statement of self-acceptance and self-love at the beginning creates more of an opening. And as you said, a lot of people have trouble loving themselves. And that's why I changed the wording when I do it to, I choose to love and accept myself. So rather than saying, I love and accept myself, and a lot of people going, I can't say that, I choose to love and accept myself. It's like, okay, that's a little easier because I would like to choose that.
Yes, that's genius.
And it sort of creates more of an opening. And yeah, it was, so that's how that started. And then it was several years ago, I was just sitting one day and I thought, actually, my real job is just teaching people to love themselves. That's ultimately what it's about. I think that's what it says on the about page on my YouTube channel, just trying to get people to love themselves. And through all these other issues, whether it's about shame or money issues or health issues, there is all of that. As we're tapping through that, we're trying to clear away what doesn't feel like love and ultimately get to that place of love. And I talk about the Michelangelo principle, because Michelangelo said the statues are already there, perfect inside the marble. All I have to do is carve away what doesn't belong to reveal the masterpiece inside. And to me, that is the perfect analogy for what we're doing with tapping. And the David was already my favorite statue, my favorite piece of art since, first time I heard about it when I was a kid. And so I'd had pictures of it, but then when I had that realization of, oh, this is the perfect metaphor for what we're doing, now I have Davids all over my office.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, have them on my desk, and every wall there's a David on everywhere you look. So that to me is that masterpiece inside is love, joy, peace. And as we're tapping, we're just tapping away that stuff that doesn't belong, the shame and the guilt and the anger and the fear, to reveal that masterpiece. And it's not that those emotions are bad. There are no bad emotions. I don't like the term negative emotions, because every emotion has a purpose, but they're uncomfortable emotions. And we want to move through them as fast as possible. So to me, anger is like a smoke detector. You want to have that alarm go off if there's a fire. It's not a bad thing. But with a lot of folks, we just let that anger go. And rather than going and finding the fire to put it out, we just sit there and let the smoke detector go off. And maybe we'll grab some pots and pans and bang just as loudly to try to drown out the noise. And it's like, no. It's telling you that there's something wrong. Go deal with that.
Yes.
And either there's a problem to deal with, or it may just be the batteries need to be changed, and it may be a total misunderstanding, because a lot of the times when we're really angry, it's because we misunderstood somebody, or we've only gotten a little bit of information, and when we see the whole thing, it's like, oh, that's not upsetting.
Yeah.
So allowing ourselves to process those emotions, move through the uncomfortable emotions, acknowledging them for what they are, to let us know there's something that needs to be addressed, so that we can get to a higher level of peace and love.
I love the analogies. The David analogy, the smoke detector, that's so true. It's not a reason to shove it down. It's actually a reason to investigate and acknowledge it. And what I love so much about this, and why it's kind of unusual with the way that I was brought up, and why I think I've been so interested in personal development, it's because I grew up in church. So my mom is a pastor, and in so many ways we were taught to kind of not say the negative things because we didn't want to perpetuate them. So you don't want to say, I am angry. You don't want to say, I am so sad. You don't want to say, I am so frustrated, because there is this idea that if you're saying it, you're making it worse.
Right.
And then with everything that I have been learning in my journey, and especially even with the progression of how tapping and your videos work, it is so important for you to say those things and acknowledge those things first.
And that freaks out a lot of people the first time they hear EFT, because a lot of, whether it's or Norman Vincent Peale and the power of positive thinking, it's like, well, you can't talk about the negative. Well, but what you resist persists. You know, if you break your leg, you don't go to the doctor and say, you know, my arm feels really good. Let's talk about my arm. Let's focus on my arm. Or the other analogy I like is to use is, if you have a beautiful living room with a beautiful carpet, and you also have a beautiful pet dog, and your dog leaves a not so beautiful gift on your carpet, if you sit there and say, I'm only going to look at where the carpet is clean and beautiful, one, you're kidding yourself, because your brain is thinking, there's poop. But also, in the process of pretending, you're going to step in it and spread it around.
Yep.
So yes, I am against dwelling on it. You don't sit there and go,
Right.
oh, I'm so miserable, and sitting on the couch and looking, there's dog poop on my carpet. It's not that. It's a matter of saying, oh, there's poop. I'm going to address it. I'm going to clean it up. I can't clean it up effectively if I don't look at it and acknowledge that it's there. And then once I've cleaned it up, it's gone. And now I can fully enjoy my living room again, and I can walk around on the carpet without worrying about it. And without that part of my brain that's totally focused on that.
Oh my
So we
gosh.
just address it, acknowledge it, and process it. And then we have a completely different level of freedom.
Yes. And I was just, the reason why I said, oh my gosh, and I was kind of smiling a little, is because this is the best poop analogy I have ever heard. Like, it takes the point across so well in so many ways. And we're talking about something unusual for it. I love it. It's just so great and amazing analogies. One of the things that I do want us to do some tapping in the session too. But before we go into that, I also wanted to talk about a little bit of grief, because that's what we mentioned. And you have something coming up that's exciting too. I recently lost one of my dogs unexpectedly. I shared this on the podcast. It hit us here pretty hard. It was tough. And I used one of your videos, and it was just so enlightening, so helpful. I even put the link and shared it for people to do it. And I would love to share what you have coming up in terms of grief.
Oh, yeah, thank you. So my wife and I are going to do a Facebook Live on the subject of grief, because so many people are experiencing grief, whether it's a lost loved one. And I feel for you with the dog. Our beloved dog of 13 years passed away just after lockdown started. We just brought my daughter home from college, and that weekend, our dog passed. But even if it's not the loss of a loved one, there's loss of jobs and things like that. So we're going to do a live presentation, and folks can find out about that at tapwithbrad.com/live. That's the page where I always post when I'm doing a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live, things like that.
Yes, and I'll make sure to put that link in the show notes as well. And I think that's a brilliant idea, especially when you think in the concept, or in the sense of, it's more than just losing a person or a loved one, whether it be a dog. There's so much loss that we are experiencing right now. Right. Loss of freedom in so many ways. And so this is definitely an important topic to be covered, and a good reason for people to go practice and try out EFT if they haven't, right? So
yes.
Grateful for that. So should we start doing, you will guide us through? And you said that even if we don't know exactly what the topic is, as you start talking, it's going to come to you. And I love that. I love being spontaneous.
Well, and I love, because you had asked earlier about why we have such a hard time loving ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think, well, that would be a perfect thing to tap on.
Yes, yes, please.
So what I'll ask you to do is go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and hold it. And let it go. Now just breathing comfortably with your eyes closed. Just allow yourself to feel centered and grounded. Following your breath through your body, just allowing yourself to be aware of what you're feeling inside, physically and emotionally. And imagine looking at yourself in a full-length mirror and say, I love myself. Just let that rattle around inside and notice on a scale of 0 to 10 how true it feels. And don't blame yourself, don't judge yourself if the number is lower than you had hoped. Allowing yourself to be aware of it is a good thing, because now you can look at, oh, I'm misunderstanding something, because the truth is you are absolutely worthy and deserving of love. There's just some misunderstandings that might be there as to why. And so why we don't love ourselves is different for each person. It's just allowing yourself to, as you feel those feelings, notice where you might feel some resistance to loving yourself. Notice what thoughts, beliefs, and memories might come up as to why you couldn't or shouldn't love yourself. And just noticing what feels important. Go ahead and take another deep breath. Open your eyes. And you can certainly see how to tap on any of my videos on YouTube, and I'll just describe the process as we go along. So taking the fingertips of your index and middle finger of your dominant hand, go ahead and tap gently on the side of your opposite hand. So what we call the karate chop point. So if you're going to break some boards with a karate chop, just gently tapping right there. And then repeat what I say. And so Marta, if you'll be my echo voice.
Sure.
And then everyone else just repeat back what I say along with Marta. And then just tap where I tell you to tap. Even though part of me resists loving myself,
Even though part of me resists loving myself,
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
Even though part of me resists loving myself,
Even though part of me resists loving myself,
I choose to love and honor myself anyway.
I choose to love and honor myself anyway.
Even though part of me resists loving myself,
Even though part of me resists loving myself,
and I might love myself okay,
and I might love myself okay,
but I'm open to the possibility
but I'm open to the possibility
I could love myself even more.
I could love myself even more.
But I might have some reasons
But I might have some reasons
why I'm not allowing that.
why I'm not allowing that.
And so even though part of me is resisting loving myself,
So even though part of me is resisting loving myself,
I choose to deeply and completely
I choose to deeply and completely
love, honor, and accept myself,
love, honor, and accept myself,
and maybe anyone else involved in this,
and maybe anyone else involved in this,
because I choose to be that free.
because I choose to be that free.
Tapping right at the beginning of your eyebrow, all this resistance to loving myself.
All this resistance to loving myself.
And follow your eyebrow down to the side of your eye, right there at the corner of your eye socket. All these reasons why I can't love myself more.
All these reasons why I can't love myself more.
And then just following the edge of your eye socket to right under the middle of your eye, just above your cheek. All these reasons I shouldn't love myself more.
All these reasons why I shouldn't love myself more.
And right below your nose, I have all these reasons.
I have all these reasons.
And tapping right below your lower lip, just above your chin. All these reasons why I can't love myself more.
All these reasons why I can't love myself more.
And then right where your collarbones just about come together, go ahead and use your fist and tap right where the collarbones just about meet. All these old reasons.
All these old reasons.
About 4 inches below your armpit. It's right about bra strap level. And I'm sure even if some guys are listening, they can figure out where that is. Just tapping right there. All these reasons why it's wrong to love myself.
All these reasons why it's wrong to love myself.
And then right at the top of the head. So using all of your fingertips and tapping around the crown of your head and say, all these old reasons.
All these old reasons.
Eyebrow point. Because in my past,
Because in my past,
side of the eye, I may have been told it's wrong to love myself.
I may have been told it's wrong to love myself.
Onto the I. Maybe I've been told that's conceited.
Maybe I've been told that's conceited.
Onto the nose. It's arrogant to love yourself.
It's arrogant to love yourself.
Onto the mouth. And I want to be a good person.
And I want to be a good person.
I don't want to be conceited or arrogant.
I don't want to be conceited or arrogant.
Onto the arm. So I avoid saying that I love myself.
So I avoid saying that I love myself.
Top of the head. And it's time to clear up that confusion.
And it's time to clear up that confusion.
Eyebrow point. It's not wrong to love myself.
It's not wrong to love myself.
Side eye. And loving myself is not arrogance.
And loving myself is not arrogant.
Onto the eye. Because an arrogant person,
Because an arrogant person
onto the nose, says they're better than other people.
says they're better than other people.
Onto the mouth. But we're all connected.
But we're all connected.
Collarbone. If I find someone else unlovable.
If I find someone else unlovable.
On the arm. If I say there's something wrong with them.
If I say there's something wrong with them.
Top of the head. And that I'm better than they are.
And that I'm better than they are.
Eyebrow point. Chances are.
Chances are.
Side eye. I'm not loving myself as much as I think I am.
I'm not loving myself as much as I think I am.
Onto the eye. The conceited person.
The conceited person
Onto the nose. Is not experiencing real self-love.
is not experiencing real self-love.
Onto the mouth. So I'm clearing up that confusion.
So I'm clearing up that confusion.
Collarbone. The more I love myself.
The more I love myself.
Onto the arm. And the more I see myself as lovable.
And the more I see myself as lovable.
Top of the head. The more I can see other people as lovable.
The more I can see other people as lovable.
Eyebrow point. It's a total win-win situation.
It's a total win-win situation.
Side of the eye. So it's okay to love myself.
So it's okay to love myself.
Onto the eye. Except part of me might still say no.
Except part of me might still say no.
Onto the nose. Maybe people have told me I'm not lovable.
Maybe people have told me I'm not lovable.
Onto the mouth. It's like, what do they know?
What do they know?
Collarbone. Are they Nobel Prize winners?
Are they Nobel Prize winners?
Onto the arm. They just don't see it.
They just don't see it.
Top of it. And maybe because I don't see it.
And maybe because I don't see it.
Eyebrow point. And maybe I tell myself.
And maybe I tell myself,
Side eye. I'm not lovable because of things I've done.
I'm not lovable because of the things I've done.
Onto the eye. And I choose to clear up that confusion.
And I choose to clear up that confusion.
Onto the nose. I'm not unlovable because of what I've done.
I'm not unlovable because of what I've done.
Onto the mouth. But I may have done some unfortunate things.
But I may have done some unfortunate things.
Column. Because I didn't realize how lovable I was.
Because I didn't realize how lovable I was.
Onto the arm. The more I allow myself to love myself.
The more I allow myself to love myself.
Top of the head. The more I'll treat others with love.
The more I'll treat others with love.
Eyebrow point. It's good to love myself.
It's good to love myself.
Side of the eye. And there's no good reason not to love myself.
And there's no good reason not to love myself.
Out of the eye. So I'm clearing all those old reasons.
So I'm clearing all those old reasons.
Out of the nose, clearing them at a cellular level.
Clearing them at a cellular level.
Out of the mouth and all the way back through my past.
And all the way back through my past.
Collarbone, clearing what doesn't feel like love.
Clearing what doesn't feel like love.
Out of the arm, so I can truly love myself.
So I can truly love myself.
Top of the head, in body, mind, and spirit.
In body, mind, and spirit.
And take a deep breath. Close your eyes, look in that mirror and say, I love myself. And rate that again on a scale of 0 to 10. And hopefully that number has come up. And it may be that you have more awareness of things, some ideas and memories may have come up. It's like, oh, well, that's why I'm not allowing myself to love myself. Great. Do more tapping, clear that out, clear out those misunderstandings, because any idea about you not being worthy of love is a misunderstanding.
Yes.
And it doesn't serve you and it doesn't serve anyone else. So please let that go.
Yes. Oh, and I love that you said it's a win-win, because it really is. I always say when you love yourself, everybody wins.
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
so true. And I think that even if I had any other questions for you, just the tapping itself is kind of like an interview or a teaching in itself, right? You don't really need to just talk about things, just do the tapping. It's like so many amazing things in one.
Yeah. Very often I'll be, sometimes like even when I'm doing a workshop and I'll start talking on a subject, I'll go, whoa, wait a minute. I got to stop chattering and just start tapping. It's like, I can tell you this while we're tapping,
Mm-hmm.
because the process of tapping while saying these things clears out the stress that might come up, the resistance that might come up, because
Mm-hmm.
we can listen to all kinds of great speakers and be saying, oh, yes, that's brilliant. But there may be a part of us that goes, but I'm not going to use it
Yeah.
because it's not safe, it's not okay, it's not this or that, it doesn't apply to me. And all that stuff comes up in our energy system. We have a stress response, and we allow ourselves to enjoy hearing it, but not really take it in.
Mm-hmm.
And so the tapping allows us to clear out that resistance so we can really take that stuff in and really embody those teachings.
That's brilliant, Brad. I am so grateful for you. Please know that what you do is amazing. I know you hear this all of the time, but here it comes from my heart, and I'm
Yes, please, Marta, please don't. I cannot take any more.
take it anymore. There's always room.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Tell us how to find you. Of course, it's not hard, but tell us all.
Oh, thank you. Yes, so tapwithbrad.com is my website. It's also the name of my Facebook page, my Instagram, my YouTube channel, Tap with Brad. Put that in and you'll find, like I said, there's well over 900 videos on YouTube and a lot of different resources. tapwithbrad.com/live to find out about live events that I'm doing. Hopefully soon actually doing them live and in person. The
Yes.
actor in me is craving
Oh.
that theatrical experience.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I bet.
it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, can tap for that until
We're
you can
tapping through
resume
that.
tapping through it. Thank you so much, Brad. This was amazing. I so look forward to getting all the feedback from the ladies and the men that will listen to this and learn to love and accept themselves a little bit more.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mara. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for this experience, this opportunity to share this work, and thank you to everyone following along.
Oh my goodness, what to even say after this amazing interview, an exclusive tapping session. I don't hope you were empowered. I know you were empowered. So it's just a matter of tell me what your favorite takeaways were, because this was amazing. I can't wait for you to go check out Brad if you're not familiar with his work, and connect with him, connect with me. All the links are in the show notes. Until next time, bye.